Hey guys, Spud here, and today we're doing our second JDAM tutorial for the F-15E Strike Eagle from Razvam. In this video, we're going to be going over using pre-programmed missions created in the mission editor to load them into the JDAM through CC memory mode in order to deliver those weapons onto targets. We're also going to go over how to create a new mission on the fly using data entry through the UFC Scratchpad to drop a JDAM onto a particular target that you may have copied coordinates for. We're doing today's tutorial in an F-15E BOZ 2000 skin because these heavily upgraded legacy F-15A, B, Cs, and Ds are basically like pseudo Strike Eagles at this point. However, they do not have a lantern navigation or targeting pod capability, so they are limited to pre-programmed strikes using smart weapons like JDAMs. So let's hop in and get started, guys. Alright guys, today we're going to be starting off in the mission editor so that way we can create the missions that we're going to upload into the weapons on our aircraft via the CC memory mode in the Smart Weapons page. We're also going to, of course, be going over how to edit the coordinates that your JDAMs are going to be going after and create new missions for our JDAMs on the fly through the UFC of our aircraft. As you guys can see, we're using the F-15E to kind of roleplay as a heavily upgraded Israeli Air Force F-15D BOZ 2000. The BOZ 2000 is basically the pseudo Strike Eagle variant that the Israeli Air Force has turned their legacy F-15A, B, C, and D BOZ aircraft into, capable of delivering a whole host of smart munitions, but do not actually carry the ANAAQ 13 and 14 lantern navigation and targeting pod underneath the engine nacelles there. So as a result, we're going to forego that and show you guys that you really don't need them in order to deliver JDAMs onto targets just like a real-life BOZ 2000. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over to the right-hand side to the waypoints panel of our mission editor, and we're going to click on the navigation target fixed points button here. Now we have a very kind of almost stereotypical target here of Israeli airstrikes into Syria. We have an SA-3 site that's defending Damascus International Airport that's been interfering with some of the Israeli Air Force UAVs that have been trying to keep tabs on the Syrian Arab Army. So first thing we're going to do on the navigation target points panel here is we'll hit the add button. And why don't we create our first pre-programmed mission on top of the tracking radar for our SA-3. Now, when we place this navigation target point, we need to add some information into the comments that will be automatically uploaded into the mission computer of our F-15. So that way we can just quickly load that mission directly into one of our JDAMs. Now, this may seem a little bit complicated, and I will copy and make sure I post this text down in the description down below, guys. So the first line is going to be telling DCS and the mission computer in our F-15 what mission number it is. So we're going to put M, a capital M, we'll put 1, and then we'll put 0.1. Oops, that was a tilde, 0.1 there. So the first one goes to the mission set itself. So we can have up to a number of mission sets, each with their own individual submissions inside them. The second one here refers to the mission number within that mission set. We can have up to 9 missions within a mission set. I'm guessing that 99.99% of DCS World users are just going to be using one particular mission set. So all you really need to do is put M1.1 for your first mission in the first mission set. The next row, so hit enter, then type a capital H, and then a -1, basically. This is going to be the heading, the run-in heading for your bomb in hitting that target. Again, I think 99% of you guys are just going to do the default heading of your aircraft's heading when the weapon is released. We set that by hitting H-1. The next line is going to be the angle of impact of the bomb into the target itself. Typically, again, I just use the default value. That's going to be a capital A and 0. A and 0 will default the weapon to the default 65-degree impact angle into the target. And the fourth and final line is going to be the velocity of the weapon. Type in a capital V and 0 for the default velocity of the default terminal velocity of the weapon at impact into the target. Again, I think 99% of DCS World users are just going to use the default values here. Now, you can adjust these with your own values, and you can look into this deeper in the F-15E's updated user manual that you'll find in your Eagle Dynamics install folders. Just go to your Eagle Dynamics install folder, then go into DCS World Open Beta, then go into mods, documentation, and the document should be right in there in PDF form for you guys, no problem. So we've got 3 JDAMs on our aircraft, kind of the typical BOZ 2000 loadout. So let's go ahead and create one more mission for us, and we'll save the third JDAM for a kind of on-the-fly new mission that we'll create through our UFC. So we've got a search radar here, so we'll hit add. We'll put in a second guy here. We'll add our 3 lines very quickly here. We'll do capital M 1.2. So first mission set and second mission in that mission set. And you can, of course, just move it right on top of there once you've created it. Of course, a 2,000-pound JDAM landing a couple of feet next to a truck like this with a radar on top of it, not that big of a deal, right? It's definitely going to get a kill on there. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and hop in the cockpit and get started with setting things up in the cockpit for our attack. All right, guys, welcome back to the office of the F-15E Strike Eagle, or in this case, a heavily upgraded BOZ 2000. And we'll jump right on in to show you guys how to actually work the pre-programmed missions for your JDAMs from the cockpit. So first off, just like last video, we're going to relieve some of our pilot workload here. We'll go to air-to-ground master mode. We'll turn the autopilot on. Of course, we've got some mountains up front here to worry about, but I think we've got a little bit of time. We'll fence in, master arm on, external lights are off. We will check our fuel. Plenty of gas here today. Our emitters are good to go. Radar is on. And our Wizzo in the back seat is going to check our expendable countermeasures and our EW systems. All right, so right off the bat here, we're going to set up our packs on our left MPD. We'll go to the air-to-ground page. And there's a little bit of a gotcha in our scenario here, just like there was in our last scenario in our targeting pod and air-to-ground radar JDAM tutorial. In this one, when we have JDAMs on the belly station, the number 5 station, and the 2 wing stations, they don't necessarily like to play together all that well. So we're going to set up 2 programs. One program for our wing stations. We're going to go direct, ripple single, nose and tail. And then we're going to go to program 2, and we'll set up the JDAM that's on our centerline station. Direct, ripple single, nose and tail. All right, we are all done with the packs page, so no need to worry about that armament page anymore. So we'll go back and we'll open up the 2s page, so that way we can keep track of the SA-3 that we're going to be attacking today. And on the right MPD, we'll head on over to our smart weapons page. And of course, we're greeted by that same wing form displaying all of our JDAMs that we had in the last tutorial. We'll cycle over to our program 1 for our 2 wing station JDAMs. We'll select next station. And we need to go down and hit the weapon memory page here to go over to the CC memory page. We can now see the mission sets here. Set 1, mission 1, so that's the target 1.1 we created in the mission editor. We need to then hit the mission transfer button here to transfer that mission to our weapon. We'll hit next station, next mission. This is mission 2, mission 1.2 we created in the mission editor. We'll hit mission transfer, transfer that mission to our second weapon. And now we are ready to go. And that is shown off, of course, by the RDY ready symbol popping up for our GBU 31 there. So now it's time to do some of that pilot shit and do a run-in, so that way we can loft our JDAMs way out there and take out that SA-3, hopefully before it even gets a chance to shoot at us. And of course, on our HUD, we now have our JDAM symbology displayed. We have our range bar with our aircraft symbol in the little caret there. We have the maximum range bar, as well as our terminal guidance staple there. If we're within the maximum range bar, that's the maximum range we can drop our JDAM at. If we're within the terminal guidance staple there, the weapon will be able to meet its terminal guidance options that we've set for in the mission. Of course, as you guys remember, we decided to select just the regular and default terminal guidance options for the weapon. A good double check here, and just a rule of thumb check, we have the open X or open plus sign for our target point for our JDAMs, as well as our steer point are co-located at Damascus International. That is a good kind of double check to make sure everything's good to go. And we'll start our pop-up. We're a nice clean F-15, no external fuel tanks, a few air-to-air missiles, and 3 bombs. We are flying like a bat out of hell, that's for sure. And I'm sure you guys remember, the higher and faster you are going when you drop your JDAMs, the longer the range you can get out of them. Alright, we can see our aircraft caret coming down to maximum range, and the terminal guidance staple is growing. The SA-3 is lighting me up. We're in range. We now have an ASL for even greater precision. And let's get rid of these weapons. 1, 2, and we're going to roll around. There we go. There's a launch. Popping out a whole bunch of chaff. And we're heading to the deck, back to those mountains. Alright, got into the dead zone of the RWR sensors there for a moment. And we can see our JDAMs there are falling down towards our target area. Let's go to the aft JDAM. You can see they're definitely falling on that SA-3 site right there. Boom, and boom. 2 beautiful shacks. That is 1 done SA-3 site. So let's head back to the cockpit. And let's say that the situation here has changed. Flying a Boz 2000, we don't have a targeting pod, so we don't have any way to really visually see the SAM site unless we were to actually fly right over the top of it. And we definitely don't have the ability to kind of generate coordinates that are precise enough for our JDAMs by using any kind of visual method of seeing the target down there. But let's say that there's another asset in the target area with us here, like an F-15I Ra'am, or maybe an F-16I Sufa, or just a regular old F-16C Barak, or maybe even a UAV that is using their targeting pod to take a look at the target down there, and they've noticed that, hey, that SA-3 site actually has an extra search radar, and they'd like us to go ahead and hit it. So all we need to do is go to the F10 map here. We'll get the autopilot turned back on, so we'll get attitude and altitude hold turned on. We'll slow the aircraft down a bit so we don't get too far from our target area. And we'll zoom into our SA-3 site here. And while holding the left Alt key, we'll do a left click on top of our P19 search radar that's left down there. And we can now see we have a bunch of coordinates we can use to load into our final GBU-31 on the centerline station. So on our Smart Weapons page here, we will select Program 2 for our centerline station JDAM. We'll hit Next Station. We'll go back to the Weapon Memory page. We'll go over to Edit Mission, so that way we can load in coordinates for that mission from our UFC. We'll use the up-down arrows to move the edit box down to the box below target right here. Once we have target set, we know that we have the box on the northing line of our coordinates. So we'll use our lat long decimal minutes here. Shift north 3326, 3326 decimal 230. And to transfer information from our UFC Scratchpad to the Smart Weapons page, hit the edit function down here. That will auto-populate the easting line as well as the elevation down below. We'll hit the down caret to the easting line. We'll hit Shift 6 for east, a preceding 0, 3, 6, 3, 0, and 9, 2, 2. We'll hit the edit button down here to add the easting line. Then we'll hit the down arrow here to add an elevation for our target. And we can see we have 1968. 1968. Edit to add that elevation to the mission page on the Smart Weapons page here. Now we have to transfer this new information from the mission page over to the our centerline GBU31. We do that by using the transfer button down below. Press on that until we get transfer weapon to transfer this information to the weapon itself. We then hit the mission transfer button, and we can go back to the main Smart Weapons page. We now see that our GBU31A on Station 5 on the centerline is ready, and we have the same information, the same coordinates loaded in here. We always want to double check and make sure that everything matches between where we've copied those coordinates from and what we see here on the Smart Weapons page. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and hit OK to get rid of that new window. We'll kick the autopilot off, and we'll start to fly inbound for our next weapon drop. We can see our terminal guidance staple growing as we get closer on the range bar. We're now within our maximum range. I think we should be fine, especially with the default terminal guidance package that we have in the weapon. And let's go ahead and release it. Now we're of course a lot lower threat this time. We don't have an SA-3 that's going to be actually firing on us, but we'll release some chaff and we'll kind of turn around rather expeditiously, just as a precaution. Boom, got him. And that's 3 shacks for today. Alrighty guys, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I know it can be rather difficult to understand how to use JDAMs in the F-15E. It can kind of seem like rocket surgery. So hopefully this video and my previous JDAM tutorial video kind of broke it down into more simpler terms for you guys to get you guys up and running with using JDAMs in all of the different delivery modes. So hopefully this helped you guys out. Please give a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, of course. Fly safe out there, guys, and enjoy this beautiful game.